Welcome back to another episode of our narrated playthrough of Diablo 4. My name is Arcane from Closefield Kickers, and let's get into it.
Yeah, take it away, Ernie! It's going to be a bumpy ride!
We pick up our story right after we found out that Laura sold his afterlife to a tree for the knowledge of where Lilith was and what she was doing. It turned out to be one of the worst trade deals in the history of trade deals, maybe ever.
Its answer was worth the price.
Turns out that all of the information was completely useless since the Knights Penitent already knew and were marching on the city. Whoops! Enjoy eternal life as a pygmy on a tree.
Yeah!
Well, we meet up with Narrated, who tells us that Lorath and Donan left us to march on the city. Narrated proves herself the smartest of the group since she decides to wait for us. She also tells us about how she feels like nothing she does matters. I really hope this isn't a stupid decision flag. Quick fast travel later and it's time for the Siege of Chaldean.
We are witnessing cosmic history being made.
Time for us to finally catch up with Lilith and give her a piece of our mind.
Oh, I'm sorry, is this a 5-minute argument or the full half hour?
Like, seriously, why is there blood rain? The whole city looks utterly disgusting and is just filled with a ton of abominations.
We're not cavemen!
To make matters worse, there's a ton of fanatical priests led by an asshole angel who is thrown out of heaven and is determined to get back in their good graces by any means necessary, even if that means that every single one of his faithful dies.
You who die in battle today, die heaven-bound.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Also, I have to vent for a second. This isn't the first time I've seen this before, but it's one of the most blatant. Sometimes the story has to randomly strike all of the characters with a bonk of befuddlement, and lower their IQs to about 0 to make plot points work. And that's honestly what I feel like happened here. You know that crystal that we spent the entire last act forging into something that could hold Lilith? Well, Donan and Lorath decide that the optimal play right now is to tell Inarius, the asshole angel who would probably rather see us dead and thinks he's the main character, that we don't need him, because we have this shiny rock that it can imprison Lilith.
The hubris.
And Donan decides to take the fucking thing out right in front of him, like he's a 6-year-old screaming, la 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 la! Like, what did you expect? The bully is just gonna bow before your superior logic and diction? Nah, he just snags the thing and walks away.
That's it. Morning.
Their response?
Same as before. This changes nothing.
Thankfully, Narel has our back and basically goes, you know who the real MC is? You. You murdered Astaroth and Andariel. What is a Lilith before you? So I guess that's our plan now. Remember the priest I mentioned a minute ago? Well, we finally catch up to the Reverend Mother Prava and try to ply our case for getting our soulstone back. She doesn't really end up caring though and just supports any decision Inarius makes, telling us that he must have acted righteously and we were in the wrong. Thanks, Prava.
Stand down, brethren.
Lorath manages to convince her that we should tag along with our army through the city though, as we can be pretty helpful in clearing the way. Win-win for us since we can take advantage of them too and just have less mobs to deal with, is what I would say if they didn't walk slower than Donan's son. And he's dead. Too soon? Well, we aren't getting anywhere fast either way. We make our way through the city with the priest's army, but get stuck at a gate. Apparently no one in the entire army understands how to raise it up, so it falls to us to climb up and activate the winch. Unfortunately, the chain breaks after their army gets through, so we get separated from the group. So much for using their army to help us clear the way!
Boring conversation anyway.
Do you guys remember how we already beat one of the lesser evils in a fight? And how I talked about how it was really underwhelming? Well, I think I might have to reconsider my opinion on that due to the next fight that we have coming up. Duriel. One of the other lesser evils. I shit you not, I almost didn't even realize that this was a lesser evil. Just kinda showed up. When we finished the fight, our character offhandedly mentioned, that was a lesser evil, right? And then it's just never brought up again. The lesser evil is so irrelevant that it doesn't even bear a single sentence to the others that we beat it. Honestly, that says a lot about our power level at the moment, which is awesome, but also it's just kinda depressing that this lesser evil is done so dirty.
I lack the living matter. Lesser evils beyond Andariel. Could that thing have been one? The Haradrim should be at the palace.
May your next appearance be a bit more impressive, Duriel. Narel continues to be the most level-headed of the group, as apparently she's the one who convinced the others to wait for us yet again. Seriously, what do Lorath and Donan think they're gonna do? Lose another soul stone?
Good one. Yep, that's a good one.
Anyway, Neyrelle starts trying to convince the group that we should have me solo Lilith and then use the stone on the primeval Mephisto, which honestly seems like a fine plan to me. It's time for us to finally enter the realm of hatred and keep hurtling towards the end of the game. A lot of the next while is just us murdering a ton of demons as we try to catch up to Inarius and their army. When we finally catch up, we find the army broken and brutalized, with Mother Prava lying battered against the ground. Below her, conveniently enough, is the Soul Stone. Huh, that was super easy, barely an inconvenience.
From above, the wicked shall receive their just reward.
Down and down we go into the depths of this hell. After a quick boss fight against this thing called a Shava, we finally get some more information on what happened with the army earlier in an honestly stunning cutscene.
May we fight true in His holy name. Blessed be the light.
It's basically the army of the angel versus the army of hell, including Inarius trying to moonlight as Let Me Solo Her from Elden Ring. Unlike Let Me Solo Her though, Inarius falls to his hubris as he plays with his food too much and doesn't follow rule number 2. Double tap.
Tell me. Please. Tell me.
The heavens do not speak to you anymore.
Heavens, protect me!
No, you belong in hell.
You're not sure the undead are really dead? Don't get all stingy with your bullets. I mean, one more clean shot to the head.
The army of the angels quickly fall with their faith being proven false. Back in the current moment, we decide to use the eye to track down Lilith again. Before we can put that plan into action, Donan does an even dumber thing than letting Inarius steal the stone. He walks right next to a pillar covered in writhing corpses, looks one in the face as it starts to move towards him, and then just looks away! In a move that shocks literally no one but him, the moving skeleton stabs him in the chest with a mortal wound. Lying on the floor, quickly dying, he tells us that we should use the eye. I really don't think that we should be taking advice from this guy given his track record, but apparently he's really convincing or something. We see Lilith getting safe passage from Astaroth, which she had bargained for a couple acts ago. Unfortunately, she notices us watching her yet again, and this time manages to trap us in a mine prison or something, and tries to blackmail us into being Sanctuary's protector in exchange for release from the endless torment. Well, we don't negotiate with terrorists here, so the only way out is through. The further we go, the more Lilith tries to convince us that her way of thinking is right. She even shows us the shade of Vigo, the knight penitent that let Neyrelle's mother die towards the beginning of the game, the dead body of her son Rathma, the words of Elias. She tells us that the prime evils are the true enemy.
We are prisoners of the eternal conflict, the pawns of angels and demons.
and that she needs our help to slay them once and for all. That this will lead to a better future for Sanctuary. Well, we instantly reject her because reasons, and are immediately saved by our best buddy, the primeval Mephisto. Mephisto's portal takes us back to where it all began, to the cave that Mephisto took us at the very beginning of the game. Mephisto tells us that he only saved us back then so that we could murder his daughter for her, and that we should help him right now as Lilith is the issue, not him. This family dynamic is wild, by the way.
I won't lie. There will come a time when we are enemies.
With Mephisto's help, we managed to escape this dreamscape and go back to the real world, where somehow Donan hasn't actually died yet.
I'm getting better!
No, you're not. You'll be stone dead in a moment.
Lilith and Donan share a touching final moment as he finally passes away, cuddled up to the same pillar that killed him.
Will he think it was enough?
Yes. More than enough.
Is this poetry?
Half a league, half a league, half a league onward. Into the valley of death rode the 500. Forward through shopping shed.
Lorath finally accepts that we are the captain now, and it's time for us to go on ahead without him. Mephisto summons a portal for us, and off we go to the final fight of the game. Narrated speaks some more words of truth, though.
Mephisto led you to this moment. We're in his realm. Should we really be doing what he wants?
Mephisto has been pulling the strings all along, saving us at the beginning, giving us hints and help throughout our journey, taking us here to the Cathedral of Hatred. We have been dancing to his tune the entire game, and now he wants us to use the Soul Stone on Lilith and give it to him for safekeeping. Is that really the best idea? No, she says.
Don't let your hate for me blind you to common sense.
Instead, let's trust in the plot armor of the MC, and the decision-making of this child who lost her mother at the hands, of Lilith. Whatever could go wrong? So anyways, she started stabbing, with Mephisto theoretically bound by the Soul Stone, and yet somehow completely able to keep making portals and stuff, by the way. Narrated leaves us back in the cathedral to have our final 1v1 with Lilith.
This better not be the last time I see you. Understand?
Honestly, this fight seemed super easy. There's some slow-moving waves on the ground as well as a bigger arc of blood that she shoots at us. Well, she also tries to slap us with her wings, but it does like 0 damage, so who cares? After a couple minutes of cooking her alive with our burning lightning, she finally falls.
You are courting pain and death.
Daughter of Hatred, slain. Just kidding.
I'm not dead!
I forgot that this is an RPG, and the final boss never has just one phase. I look like an idiot because I started emoting over what I thought was her corpse, but alas, now we have to deal with Worm Lilith. Now she has a lot more annoying mechanics like breaking up pieces of the stage, pulsating bobs of blood that machine guns spit at us, and blood vines that try to strangle us. Typical final boss stuff. Eventually, she falls, and thankfully this isn't a fight with 3 stages.
Hello.
In her final moments, Lilith tries to make us feel bad for taking her gift of free will, and making our own decisions instead of what she wanted, which feels like poor planning on her part. She crumbles to dust, leaving Sanctuary bereft of both of its creators. After a moment of silence, Mephisto makes us another portal back to Lorath. Why Lorath and not Narrated, you ask? 'Cause Narrated ditched us old people. We try to find her back at our home base, but she's not there. Instead, we get ganked by Yosef and a few of the Knights Penitent, who call us heretics and force us to murder them. Freaking fanatics.
They were not our enemies.
They were fools. I don't have the time for it.
With Lorath leaving to bury Donan, it falls to us to try to track down Narrated. We go to the vault and find a letter from her. In it, she tells us that she will never be Horadrim, that she is leaving and taking the Soul Stone with her, that it'll be safer away from the main character who is able to murder anything that steps foot before him like lesser evils of the Daughter of Hatred.
Not a great plan.
She warns us that we will need more to face the primevals, that she must be the one to find all the answers, take all the risks. It must be her and her alone. And for some freaking reason, we are both okay with her just taking a primeval and dipping. Like, why the fuck?